the Premium Business Masterclass. My name is Manje Kutafalo, and we do apologize for coming live a little bit later than usual. But today's going to be an exciting conversation because we're joined by Me Pako Lekoko, who is going to. I'm gonna introduce her shortly after this. She's an entrepreneur. She's also involved in several businesses that we're going to be talking about today. I met her yesterday at Avani. There was a UNICEF meeting, which we were speaking about how do we transform today's education system, looking futuristically into where it is and where it has to go. And so, as we always know, this projection that we are bringing to you every Thursday. We design it because we want to empower you as entrepreneurs, we want to empower you as people in the career field to learn about the things that our guests are doing. And you could learn one or two things, or gain the inspiration on how you can also now build the things that you are doing for yourself. This is the Premium Business Masterclass brought to you by Launches Studios in partnership with Stanbic Bank of Botswana and also Holland Life Botswana. We'll be right back.
Meaningful sponsorships improve lives. That's why we create and support initiatives that make a real difference by engaging, inspiring, and uplifting communities. It's just one of the ways Holland ensures better futures.
Let's find new ways to make dreams possible. Whether you are dreaming about starting a new business, securing a good future for your family, buying a new home, or owning a new car, your dream becomes real the moment you believe it can be. Your dreams matter. Let's find new ways to make.
Welcome to the Premium Business Masterclass. Please help me welcome my guest for today, Me Pako Lekoko. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Let me give you time to introduce yourself, the things that you do, the amazing things that you do. Don't leave any of them.
There's a lot. Are you sure?
Yeah, of course. We have the whole time here.
All right. So first and foremost, on a usual day-to-day, I'm a management consultant, specializing within the data analytics and data science space. I am also an entrepreneur, like you have mentioned. I have my fingers in many pies when it comes to business. I think first and foremost, I am a social entrepreneur. That's what I should kind of put out there. I'm the founder of the Global Runway Network, which focuses on supporting young Africans who go out and study or live abroad, helping them to transition to the different spaces and countries that they're going to, and also once they are finished in the countries where they are, to transition back. I also am into academic and employability consulting and coaching. And really what that means is I coach people on things such as academic writing, dissertations, and I also help people with their CVs, cover letters, job applications, and so forth. I also sell traditional food. I am the director of Lehora Group, which also owns Lehora Lasetso Eats. We cook and sell traditional food. We're based in Tlokweng, and our client.
Is it the one that at the behind there?
Behind where?
Jamal Road.
Oh no.
Okay.
That's not us. We are along the Tlokweng Route 4 road, close to the Safalana. That's by Explosion. Yeah. And also, I recently just started farming. I sell eggs as well. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, what don't you do? Because basically you do almost everything there is to do. So let's go back to your job in management consultancy in the data space and so on and so forth. a lot of us understand management consultancy as, company secretariat and then business advisory, all of that. How does management consultancy and data, where do they meet?
Well, management makes decisions based on different factors, and the best decisions are made based on data. I am the person that comes in, looks at your data, helps you to draw meaningful insights from your data, and helps you by giving you that information to make good decisions for the business. Yeah.
I see what you mean. Now let's go back to what you and I were at this event yesterday.
Yeah.
And UNICEF had invited you. A gate crashed. I'm kidding. I was invited as well. And the conversations were around how do we, change the education landscape the way it is now. Because a lot of people have been saying this for the longest time. The problem with Botswana's progress is because of the way the education system is like.
Yeah.
And no one really disagrees, because even the government and bodies like UNICEF, anybody, they're saying, okay, this is the time to look into it. But I want you to give us the thoughts around what do you think has been the leading causes of what you've been seeing in terms of productivity, developing students, developing assets in terms of the academia, all of that. Where do you think we've been lagging behind, in sight of what we are discussing, which we will share later, what we are thinking the education system could go?
Okay, that's a hard question because I think it's a very broad question.
Yeah.
But I think generally our education system has not been evolving with the times.
Yeah. Since 1966.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So imagine now we are all the way in 2022 and so many different things have happened. The world is changing at such a fast pace, but we are still operating with a system that is how many years old now?
Yeah, 50. 50. What's 50 plus what?
Plus many, many years.
Plus 4, plus 5, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about, if you think about things such as technology, for example, that within months, think about when the year had begun. Or if we go back to something like last year, how many advancements have been made, or how much advancement has been made within technology alone?
Yeah.
And that's just one space or one sphere. And are we really, keeping up with that with regards to our education? The short answer is we're not. We're not preparing our students to be competitive outside of Botswana, and we're not even preparing them to be competitive internally. Because nowadays we've got students going abroad, for example, if I can just touch on some of the things that I work with. Students that are going abroad, they've been educated internationally, they come back to a Botswana, or rather are expected to come back to a Botswana that is years behind. And you've got all these people who have large weapons in their arsenal that can come or are expected to come back and improve our economy, improve our country, but they can't put those bullets anywhere.
Yeah.
So really, I feel like our education system is not only lagging behind, but I think to a large extent, I could even say that it is somewhat failing us as a nation.
It used to, because the government is doing something about it.
Yeah.
But of course, the effect is still there. I mean, we can see how for 50 years we have created a system that takes talented children who are not academically gifted, to into the streets, and the way in which we are pipelining more people that could have become assets to the country into streets where they cannot be empowered, they cannot be recognized, and so on and so forth. It's only like Isaac Makwala the other day gave a story about how I don't know if he said he failed one of the Form 3 or Form 5, I can't remember quite well. He was speaking at an event where I was attending, and then he spoke about how when he went to the brigade school, the vocational learning school, to learn about I think carpentry and joinery. And then when he was there was now an opportunity for him to run. And then when he was running, he was getting into more opportunities to compete and so on. And then there was an opportunity for him to go and race internationally. And when he was there, I think he said he was paid, was it $5,000 US? It was around 50K. And that's when the light bulb went in for him and said, hey man, this could actually be your life. You could literally just focus on sports and then build yourself. Look at him now. And then the question I want to ask you is what you were discussing yesterday about government's idea of introducing, which they did 4 years ago, the multiple pathway in which children who are gifted in terms of sports could be trained along that path. The children that are trained, that are gifted academically, they could also be channeled through that. So what are your thoughts around, how this can work and best improve, such that for your work, for example, the people that are going internationally, we could see like the guy, being admitted into international universities like Oregon to go and study further.
I think that such things, just kind of picking from some of the stuff that was discussed yesterday, such things things that are divergent rather from academics, such as sports, like you have mentioned, or what can I call it? Subjects that are not based on books and academia, but things that you do with your hands, your art, your D&T and stuff like that, are, I think, things that should be looked at and considered as just as good as somebody who does business studies, for example.
Of course.
Somebody who does the more traditional academic things. They should not be considered as, I'm going to actually quote something that you said yesterday, like second class learners or second class students. They should be considered as people who are gifted in different areas and nurtured with the same vigor, with the same investment, with the same kind of structure. Of course, it won't be completely the same because the subject matter is all different, right? But with the same intensity that we give, the same investment in institutions that we give to people who are studying the more traditional academic routes should also be given to people who are studying alternative academic routes.
The other pathway.
Hey.
and I like how you actually are flowing with it, because my thoughts are that I am always guilty of this. This is why people don't like my opinion when it concerns my thought on government, because I'm always very optimistic to say because I value someone who says, I recognize that I've been doing this the wrong way. And I've recently learned that this is how we could actually do it, and I'm actually working on it. Because that's where I think the government is. There's a lot of there are slow transitions. The results of this are going to be seen in a very long time. You could realize that there are thoughts around, how, like right now, speaking of education, how do we start educating our children such that, like what our group came up with, to say, let the children go to primary school, all of them. And then multiple pathways shouldn't be something you do after Form 5, because a lot of people don't even make it into senior secondary school. So and then also we don't segregate, we don't segregate schools. We don't have like the mainstream schools, and then we have vocational schools like Brigade and so on, because it creates the stereotype. Going to Brigade is like is a second tier sort of a thing. So there's a stigma to it. So the value of what you are doing also drops, and so on and so forth. Our group was saying, let them all go to the mainstream. Let there be custom learning. Just like when you get to university, another person, there's where you meet when you are doing core modules, and then you have specializing into your whatever. Let whoever is in the vocational space learn that vocation from Form 1, 2, 3, graduate with levels. Let the government find ways to get these people to institutions of higher learning, universities locally and also international. We're not here for this. I just wanted them to know and have a feel of what the discussion was really about, and to find out the kind of a person that you also are. But may I take this time as well to invite you who are watching, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, please be part of the conversation. SMS lines are open, 77045403, and then you can send us an SMS or WhatsApp, or you can actually comment right here on the page. If you have any questions, comments related to what you find us talking about. I'm chilling right here on the studio with Pako Lekoko, who's a management consultant. For some of you students who have always been asking yourself questions of, I want to study abroad, how do I do it? Or entrepreneurs like yourselves who say, I want to be like her, where you have like so many different things that you do, and she's able to do all of that. I think I know, I can guess the question, your first question. Like how does she, do this? Does she do all of this like this the all same day, or does she, have days in which, do all of that? But let's take a quick break. When you come back.
Meaningful sponsorships improve lives. That's why we create and support initiatives that make a real difference by engaging, inspiring, and uplifting communities. It's just one of the ways Hollard ensures better futures.
Welcome back to the Premium Business Masterclass. What you just saw is an advertorial of the GJK Africa Tour. Yes, we're going to be visiting. I am going to be visiting Africa starting, I think, in 2 weeks' time. In a few days' time, we're going to be heading out to the Kingdom of Lesotho, where, guys, I don't know if I should share this now or I should say it in a few days when we are about to reach it. The people in Lesotho are extremely excited and they can't wait to see my face and hear the things that we are going to be sharing. Our team is going to be traveling to Lesotho. So today I just want to talk about Lesotho to say, hey guys, all of you entrepreneurs, students, everyone, if you have a dream and if you want to learn how to build what you want to build, it's a business, it's a career, don't miss any of our events that are scheduled between the 18th and the 20th of August, this very month. In your city, we're going to be in Maseru on the 18th, the 19th, and 20th. We have events scheduled specifically for students. We have events that are also specifically scheduled copies of the book. Think like an entrepreneur, act like a prostitute, Marimavu, or any other series that I'm going to be producing. I'm going to be launching that series for the first time in my life in your country. So please be a part of those events. Inbox the page wherever you're watching this, or you can email GJ Kutza. Make sure that you register. If you're looking for a link, you go to launchitinternational.com, and there's so many different pages in which you can see all the events that are going to be happening in Lesotho and be a part of it. I mean, it's already here, man. I can always, earlier this morning, I was like, hold on. Next week, I'll be in Lesotho. And I'm like, of course, it's going to be happening. Anyway, we're chilling right here with Pakole Koko, management consultant, etc., etc. And she's here to tell us about the things that she actually do. And we're already learning, because I want to get into Robert Sohola, so we're saying everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by the ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. I think this is a quote he says by Albert Einstein. And think about that for a moment. All of you who've been out there feeling like you're stupid, you're feeling like you can't produce economically, feeling like your life can't go anywhere because there are things that has proven to you as the measurement that you were using to check if you are a failure or a success. You were a fish that was with other animals. I don't know where, but you were climbing trees and you were like, I can't. And then this is where you are right now. You're wondering that you can't go anywhere in life. I think this is what Robert is saying. Sepi, so thank you very much for that comment. And please, again, comments, questions, put them down on the comment box. And let's continue with this. How do you get to, because my question is here, it's on this book, Think Like an Entrepreneur, Like a Prostitute. It's one of my books. There was a chapter which I wrote about people who were asking the question of, I always have this multiple relationships, like romantic relationships, that's how they are like, but with businesses. They can't stay with the one thing at the same time. There's always something they're looking like, I want that, let's see that, I want to do that. And then they find themselves either confused and not being able to do any of them, or they're applying themselves across all of this, but partially so. So there's always substandard, and then you still see growth and so much impact. So my question is, how is there like a thing that you guys do to get the results that you're getting?
I don't think there's a correct answer for that. So, firstly, if you're going to multitask on anything, there will always be leakages.
Yeah.
If you're not focused on one thing, or rather, let me say, the impact that you can make by focusing on one, taking that impact and dividing it across different things.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think one thing for me that has really worked is having a good team.
Yeah.
So in most of the things that I am involved in, I have a really good team standing with me, producing with me, keeping me accountable, and making sure that I do what I need to do as part of whatever it is we're delivering.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing that works for me is a lot of alarms and and sticky notes and writing things down.
My alarms respect me. Sorry for cutting you short, but this is
No
true.
problem.
While we are still here, does it happen to you? We'll answer it at any other time. My alarms these days, they ring, but I don't hear them. I think they ring and then they check if I'm hearing them, and then like, and then they silently fades away and all of that.
Mine haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
I've got alarms that mean different things at different parts of the day. I think in the morning, I have very many alarms because waking up is a challenge sometimes. And then throughout the day, I have alarms that remind me what time it is so that I can actually, be abreast with, okay, at this time, I need to switch my mind to be thinking about this, or I need to get ready to do this, or I need to actually execute this. On a daily basis, I have alarms that ring at different times of the day. I won't say them, but
Of course, yeah.
And then I also use my calendar a lot, like on my phone. I set reminders for everything. And if I'm going to be doing something, let's say for instance next week, I make sure that I have a reminder for it, maybe a week in advance, 2 days in advance, a day in advance, and then 2 or 1 hour as well in advance.
Yeah.
So that my mind keeps checking back to that thing that I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? And then what else do I do? I think at the end of it all, really it just comes down to actually taking action. Because like you're saying, there are people who get crippled by or overwhelmed by having so many different ideas and so many different interests. I am one person who obviously has very many interests. But I think the one key thing is to actually act on the ideas that you have, on the interests that you have. Yes, it may get a bit overwhelming sometimes to have so many different things that are going on, but that's where the power of subtraction comes in. If there is something, say, you have on your plate that you feel like, no, this is more trouble than it's worth, it's okay to put it on the back burner for some time, or subtract it completely if it no longer serves you and you are unable to actually add value into that thing as well. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a 9 to 5 or are you purely an entrepreneur?
The management consulting is my 9 to 5, but I am in essence self-employed as a management consultant. So I get plugged into people's companies
Of course, yeah.
as a management consultant.
Thank you for putting it. So you are an intrapreneur in that, because there was a guy who came here, spoke all sorts of English. He said they're entrepreneurs and then they're intrapreneurs. Entrepreneurs, they run their own stuff, and then intrapreneurs, which is INTRA.
Yeah.
So they are entrepreneurs, but within establishments.
Yes and
Is that
no.
the same thing?
So I am an entrepreneur, not inter.
You are the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Because I am not employed by a
I mean in a management consultancy space.
No. So in the management consultancy space, I am what you might call a freelance consultant.
Oh.
Yeah.
You don't work for
No.
those people, you work with them.
I work with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily have your traditional 9 to 5, but it really comes down to self-discipline. Because if I don't sit myself down and make sure that I'm actually working within that time period, like somebody who is employed. I will not be able to deliver to my clients. Yes, I'm not forced, contractually to actually sit and do the work, but for my own productivity,
it's good to go to the
it's
office.
good to do it, yeah.
And how does that come about? Is there like when you go to those people and say, I want to work with you, do you like apply for a job, or do they advertise and say, hey, we're looking for this, and then do you go through the same process of interviews and so on and so on?
That's a good question.
How did this one come about?
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me tell you my story.
Okay.
So the way that I got into this space, I was actually headhunted. Somebody said to me, "I like your profile. I like your skills. Let's chat."
That sounds like a LinkedIn thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a LinkedIn thing.
Oh, makes sense.
They're like, let's chat,
Yeah.
and let's see what comes out of it. And I had just finished my master's. I think I was 2 months after submitting my dissertation, or is it 2 months after getting my final results? And we had a conversation with this person, and he asked me, "Are you actually looking for a job?" I said, "No, I'm not looking for a formal job, but I would like to go into consulting, and maybe we can, find a way that we can work together, where I own myself,
Of course.
and I still work as part of the team." And we did some sort of process. It wasn't like the usual interview
Of course,
process.
yeah.
We did some sort of process so that they actually vet me, and then I was plugged in and I was part of the team. And because they are a management consultancy, then I was servicing their clients, both them and their clients. So there was internal work that I was doing within the company, and then I was also servicing the clients that they have.
And you remind me of this because there are people that they have no idea, how to best apply themselves into companies. Some people find themselves applying for normal jobs, and then they get constricted into whatever the terms of and conditions of a 9 to 5 comes to for them, and they had no idea what other options exist in which how you can work with other companies. You can service your skills with those people, and then negotiating your own terms around it. So if you have any things that you could share with somebody who's watching right now who says, hey, I like the style of working that you have, and I don't know anything about it. What would be the top 3-5 piece of advices that you might want to share and say, if you are this kind of a skilled person, you might want to consider a job or this kind of contractual work, or if you are this, definitely get a job. Because some people, if there's this option, they'll be like, yeah, that's the one I want. But you're talking about cleaning, not that there's anything wrong with cleaning,
Honestly, I feel like there is no clear-cut avenue for any type of job.
Yeah.
What you want, whether it is to be plugged into a company in the same way that I've been plugged into a company as a consultant, or to be formally employed, what you are looking for, the fact that you could imagine it and think it up, it's possible. It's all about it's all about having a conversation with whoever it is that you think that you want to work with.
And the right person for that matter.
Exactly, and the right person. Because sometimes we have conversations with people who cannot necessarily help us to make the moves that we want to make within whatever company it is that we're trying to actually get into. It's about having conversations, be bold enough to actually speak out about what it is that you want. Know what you want before you speak.
That's a thing. I'll ask you, finish your thought. I'll ask you,
Yeah, know what you want before you actually speak. Be bold enough to actually speak about what you want, and be, brave enough to say no if what you are being offered is not what you want. But I understand that not a lot of people have this flexibility of actually saying no, because people need to eat. And I think that's one thing that, as a nation, we sometimes suffer. We take that first thing that comes up because I need to eat.
But I also think that's not the reason. It is one of the reasons. It's not because the same thing you will see somebody is on a shop, on a line in a, say, Choppies, for example, not advertising them. But you know that this what you are being given is not what you want. But you are in the line, everybody's watching you, so you end up taking it and then just paying and going away because you're like, I can't even say anything. But the white person behind you will tell the teller like,
speak out.
no, this is not
Yeah.
this is not what I ordered. Or you are at any restaurant, you're ordering food, and then you order this, they bring you that. Some people, they don't have it in them to say, nah, this is not what I want.
That's true.
And my question was this, because knowing your value is one thing, because you could estimate yourself to say, I'm worth this amount, or I'm worth this value. And then what you're actually saying you're worth, it's even half or a quarter of what you're actually worth, because deep down in you, you're not connected at depth, the real value that you actually have. So your negotiation point is still, not up to par, because you don't see the real value that you have. So some people, the reason why they take what they are offered is because what they were offered sounded a bit more than what they expected.
Yeah.
Because say, for example, a skill is worth 100,000 pula a month, and then to yourself you thought, if they gave me 40,000 pula a month, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then they say to you, we'll pay you 45. So you take it because you're like, this is much more than that. Exactly. And people get exploited in the workspace. I say this because one of my friends is an HR person. So he says when he hires a person, he's told this is the budget we have for that person. And then his job is to negotiate the person from 50 to 60% of that budget into it. So this is why they ask you the question of, let's talk about how much would you like to get paid. And then they don't tell you that we're going to pay you this much. They ask you first to name your price. And then when he says he likes it when somebody goes for 30% or 40%, because he just tops them to 50, which makes them feel like they were offered something more when he actually saved the company 50% of the rest of the budget.
Yeah.
So this what you're saying is important for somebody to know the value and to be able to be bold enough, to say, hey, I know you're offering me 50, but I want 90.
But I think also it's not just about the money, because a lot of the times we are offered jobs that include doing things that are not in line with what we want to develop in, or the paths in which we want to go. And your career ends up being something completely different from what it is that you want to do. So for me, yes, I agree with the money thing, but to a large extent, I agree. I want to sort of say that shouldn't be the be all and end all of knowing your value.
Oh, yeah.
If you are somebody who is able to give far much more value than, let's say, for instance, the tasks that you are, told to execute and the things that you are given to do are actually allowing you to do, it's okay to say, no, I don't think that this is what I want to do right now. I want to do this.
But how do you say that without seeming like yeah.
No, but why does it have to be that? Why does it have to be that? Now the picture that I have for my career is this. I want to do this and this and this because this is where I think I can add the most value to you, given my skills, my experiences, and my interests. And then I can do that.
Yeah.
I can say to you, okay,
Yeah.
it is well within my capability to wear la coffee, but I think that I can really be of more value. And I think one thing that I've learned, and maybe this is having interacted with British people for a very long time, is how to be very polite, but being very frank with what you're saying. You can be polite. No, I don't want this. And for this and such a reason. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So where do you develop the guts to say, to be like you say, the British saying, I'm sorry, but no. And you actually mean it. Because here's the thing, I have a lot of mostly American friends. So I realize when we talk, they always have to explain the context of what they're about to say. For example, you say, they want to say, I can't take this job. They'll start telling you, hey man, this is a great job that you're doing. This is gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't think I'm gonna be a part of this thing. You get what I'm saying? And then most of us, we are like, no, we go straight to say, never. No, I'm not doing this. And it leaves people guessing and probably even, feeling somehow about you and all of that. But I want you to like lay it down for somebody who wants to learn the art of saying, not even a respectful no, and know that they have to say, but in a way in which you are in a corporate space, you want to have a level of negotiation with these people, there's mutual respect. They understand that you are saying no is not because you undermine them or what they are doing. You are negotiating because you sort of counterbalancing value and respect at the same time. And then you get to a point where they can actually offer you something better.
Yeah.
And you can talk at that level.
I think one thing that people should remember is that somebody will never know what you don't tell them. You cannot understand something that I am thinking and not communicating. So the issue is communication. I think the aspect of culture sometimes also plays into it. Because somebody, as young as I am, is not expected to contest the whole.
To have a stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are expected to say yes and in fact be grateful that you are given this opportunity. And in fact I am, but I need you to understand where I am coming from. You have just mentioned how some of your friends who are from abroad actually lay it out to say, okay, this thing, I see the value in this thing. And it's going to do this and it's going to do that and it's going to be amazing, but Nahela self, I don't think that it's the right fit for me for such and such reasons. These are sort of, rule of thumbs that I use, having watched other people use them effectively. Firstly, always give a compliment. Start with the good. Make somebody feel good about either themselves or whatever it is that they are actually offering you, or the job, So start with the compliment, start with the good stuff. And then next, explain why it is good, right? Thirdly, speak about your stance, whether it's a yes, whether it's a no, and then give reasons. That way, you don't leave people guessing, and they actually get to a point of understanding where you are coming from. Whereas if you go straight to, hey, then immediately they also become defensive because you didn't soften them up by telling them how great the thing that they're doing is first. And you don't have to pull things out of the sky and lie. Tell the truth. Be honest.
Yeah.
I think one thing that is innate about human beings is we can always smell or feel when people are not being genuine with us.
Yeah.
Whether we will say it out or not.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing people never know, that people that you are lying to, even if you sound like you are telling the truth to them, they actually know you are lying.
Yeah. They can pick it up even if they have absolutely no proof.
Yeah.
You know? So genuinely just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a nice way, with a smile.
Yeah, I get what you say. So let's take another quick break, and then when you come back, I'm going to be rounding up the conversation with Pakole Koko. As you can see, I mean, she is extremely amazing in her deliberations, and she has a lot of different thoughts that could help you.
Let's find new ways to make dreams possible. Whether you are dreaming about starting a new business, securing a good future for your family, buying a new home, or owning a new car, your dream becomes real the moment you believe it can be. Go ka kgonega with Stanbic Bank Botswana. Your dreams matter.
Meaningful sponsorships improve lives. That's why we create and support initiatives that make a real difference by engaging, inspiring, and uplifting communities. It's just one of the ways Holland ensures better futures.
Welcome back to the last part of the Premium Business Masterclass, and my name is Manje Kutafalo. If you are seeing this, I've got a beautiful face, handsome face. for the very first time in your life. If you're watching from YouTube as well, on other platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, please do leave us a comment or a question if you want to ask our guest here, who's beautifully deliberating on. I think today's conversation is more, on the side of people who are in careers, and I love that because all the time we always speak to entrepreneurs, but it also, it comes even to the other side of entrepreneurs when you're on the table of negotiating your value. You have a client, sometimes even clients can abuse you into wanting you to do certain things for them because maybe it's a blue chip company and you're a small business and they're telling you this is how much I can offer you. And then you want to negotiate with people your value into increasing or doubling your code. Sometimes it does happen. And then let's say, for example, they give you a job and the scope of the job doesn't really capture what's really going to go on. And as you are doing the job, you realize like, I underquoted myself. Some people always take the decision of say, what, and then you just suffer through it, and then until you get to the other side where now you did the job for someone, but it didn't serve you, it didn't benefit you. In fact, some people end up even topping up with their own money just so that they serve the big client, and they don't know how to, negotiate, have a conversation that is more meaningful, that's more respectful with the next person, that they can able to have a value conversation with you. And so please, if you may have a question or a comment regarding what we are going to be talking about next or what we've talked about in time past, please do put it on the chat box below, and then we'll be able to read your comment. I can see all of the hearts and the thumbs up that are going through the streams. It's exciting. Thank you that's for some of you who are enjoying the conversation. So Pakwa, let's talk about this because I want us to now speak to the future of what young people are potentially able to do. And because the reason I want us to talk about this, it's because I realize in my own personal space that Botswana has since entered this, I can't call it a dimension or an era. Yes, let's call it an era, where there was a time when we would be told we have the potential to be global influencers. We could actually be the best in the world. We could be like this and that and that. But now we're in a time where it's actually happening. The fastest man on earth is a Motswana. Literally, it's like the top 3 global records in terms of sprint, 100 meters, is all the 3 top records are done by the same person who's from here. Young small boy, from Tutu, is it Tutume or where? Doesn't matter. But here's the thing: you look at the guys in the weightlifting space. The best weightlifter right now, as we speak, Motswana. I'm telling you, like right now, the Olympics are just taking a totally different turn altogether. Botswana is slowly becoming synonymous with producing the best in the world in the area of sports. And now here's the thing: a lot of us don't really recognize what this actually means to us as a country and where we are going from here into the future. And young people, I feel, the reason why I want us to have this conversation is because I feel like a lot of us may miss this open window because we are playing it small. We're not showing up, in stages that matter. We're keeping quiet in here and there. We're not doing this and doing that, when this probably is our time to actually let the authors put the books on Amazon, see what happens. Let the singers put the songs on iTunes. Let them sign up for international global concerts. Let them, we are closer to the world and global stage than we have ever been.
Yeah.
So I want to know what your thoughts are in this.
I have only one thought. As you were speaking, all I kept thinking is, I think one thing that has kept us back before is that we hold ourselves back and we want to be very neat in our presentation. We want to have all the answers before we make the move, for example. And in all honesty, that's never going to happen. And I think people are becoming bolder and bolder about doing things that they are uncomfortable doing, or getting out of their comfort zone and actually trying out new things, trying things that they are scared to do, and things that would ultimately take them closer to their goals or their dreams. So really all I can say is just do it. do it and stop holding yourself back. Believe that what you have to give is actually worth putting out there. Yeah.
Beautiful, but I know if like surface value it, not that there's anything wrong with telling somebody to believe in themselves and getting out. I think that's what we always go for when we are asked to. I would say the same thing when you are asked to motivate young people, to show them the value that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. If you put in the work, keep pushing.
Why are you using that voice?
The truth is, no, this is the voice they use. I usually attend a lot of events, and this question is asked, and the speaker would be like, passion is everything. Look, the people, truly speaking, who work really hard. Yeah, late nights, they're in there. Early mornings, they're in there. They've used all the money they have. They've done everything that is doable, that they know to do, to really push, and they're not cracking the surface for whatever reason. I had my own time to think about it as well, to say, what could really be the problem? But I was thinking from a business perspective, and this is what I came up with. Some people are not breaking through because the problems they're trying to solve, the hard work that they're putting in and all of that is great. The issue is they're exerting so much energy in the wrong space. They're solving a problem that has been solved. You're trying to prove to the world that you can create a laptop, but what for? Because if you were to take your laptop in the global stages, they are now in a machine learning level that it's out of this world. The laptop you're creating was created 100 years ago, and it's no longer an innovation. If you are going to innovate just to prove to us that you can, then that's the only reason. But here's the thing. In terms of scaling that business to become a global business, it's never going to happen because that's not what you are solving this problem for. What you are trying to do is to show us that you can create a laptop, a car, whatever thing that people can create. And then other things is issues of timing. Some people are solving problems that will be relevant in 10 years. And they're still where they are. So the advice that you would give to this kind of a person, you can tell them to work hard. Probably want to take them a space of saying learn. And you said something earlier when you started with your work of when you make decisions that are based on data, on all of that, because I want you to speak from your experience of that. How does that really work in helping your clients to make better decisions for their business or for their career? Because here's a proof of data. Can I talk about data back and say my social? I just need to make it clear. Information, not data. Because people are like, no, I have the data, but how do you make sense of my data? No, that's not the data we're talking about. I'm sorry, but it's true. So how does this help someone to make a really meaningful decision? Looking at the data of where we are now, in the world and what can potentially be done. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I hear you, but I think before we get into that, I want to ask one question. Are we assuming or are we sure that people are exposed to the things that they need to be exposed to? Because it's one thing to be plugged into the world, but it's another thing to be plugged into the right things in the world. If I am a farmer, for instance, and I am watching and taking in content that has to do with, makeup tutorials. Yes, I am plugged in. Yes, I am abreast with what is going on in the world, right? But is it right am I consuming the right things? Am I in the space that I need to be to actually be able to give meaningful impact, right? So going back to the issue of data, if there is something that a client has within their data or there's a story that their data is telling, but they are unaware of what that story is, it doesn't mean that the story goes away, and they could be potentially solving problems in their own head and sticking their finger in the wind to check which direction it's going in, right? That they are doing something, right, and they're working hard, but are they exposed to the right kind of information that will help them to direct their efforts? It's one thing to be running very fast, but it's another thing to be running in the right direction very fast.
Even if it's slow.
Right? So I think question number one is, are people actually exposed to the things that they need to be exposed to? Are you taking in the content that you need to be taking in to make progress in the directions that you want to be taking progress in? Do you actually have somebody who you speak to who can give you an opinion or a voice that is different from your own? Because sometimes we are victims of actually being in our own heads more
personal
than
bias.
we need to. Exactly. And then you end up feeling like something is so amazing.
It's amazing to you.
Exactly.
It's like it exists in an echo chamber that you sound something and then it sounds back to you and like, melodic.
Such a genius. So awesome. You know?
It happens a lot to Christians. I know I'm always controversial on this subject. Let's put it this way. How do I say this? For Christians, and I say this because I'm one of them. I'm one of the Christians, not the one of the Christians who are in the echo chambers. Okay. We go to church on a Sunday, or in other people's cases on a Saturday. Some people go to virtually, in person, whatever, but we have a place of assembly. And this is the place that speaks to you all the time. So you exist in this echo chamber that if it tells you this is what the world is, that's what you believe.
Yeah.
And you're not exposing yourself to other different views because you're probably afraid of the delusion of doctrine or there's that. There's all of that. So the risk in this, I know like in other conversations, this is very important for people to also spiritually know the kind of content that they're also taking, because you can believe this and then also believe that and believe that, because at the end of the day it's not going to work for you. But the danger of it here is that you have this is why I say it happens with Christians. You have a group of people that believe a really powerful thing, but none of them is empowered to do and execute the thing that they believe, because that's not how execution actually work. So you end up wondering, how do I know the right things in the world? And I don't have the results of the things that I actually know. But you keep loading more and more and more and more. Somebody comes to your church just one Sunday or one service, and that person's life changed forever. They don't come and, they just came once, heard one thing, went back, executed that, and their life totally changed. But there's a person who's preached by the same powerful preacher every single Sunday, but nothing ever changed in that person's life. And they're wondering, how come I hear the powerful words every Sunday, but I'm still stuck? It's because they're exerting their efforts and energy on hearing good stuff and not exposing themselves to even other empowering information that empowers them to execute. And their mind keep telling them, no, but your mind is in the right place because you're hearing the right stuff, but you still don't have the ability to actually do it. I wanted to throw it in. Usually, this show also sometimes it does talk to Christians, so it's fine to talk about it.
I think also one thing, sometimes it's just as easy as finding the people who are actually making an impact and seeing results where you're not seeing results, and ask them how. What's different? What are you doing differently? And you can actually learn a lot just by having a conversation with somebody else who is either within your same, domain, field, industry, whatever, and actually getting their insights, learning from one another, getting a mentor who has years of experience in whatever it is that you're, what you're trying to do. Get somebody who, the other day I heard somebody call it a sponsor.
A sponsor, yes. Different kind of a mentor,
Exactly. So get those people. Hear voices apart from just your own. Find out where it is you might be missing the mark and make efforts to, obviously you cannot completely emulate somebody else's story because they are not you and you are not them.
Of course.
But you can pick up insights from there that can help you on your own journey as well.
Yeah. 100%. There are some comments here from people. I think some of them are questions that were related to the conversation you had earlier. And because we are closing, I'm going to allow you the moment to actually now get into those. So there's a person who's asking, it's often said, don't go to a negotiation table hungry.
That's true.
How can you unpack this for us? I think that's it. I'll take only that one. Because that's what we do. The reason why you're going there because you're already hungry. And you will take whatever plate is offered to you if you're hungry. It's like going into a shopping mall when you're hungry. You buy so much more than you need to buy, right?
And sometimes when you go in on to the negotiating table while you're hungry, you accept more than you need to, or you accept anything that is thrown at you. Earlier I said, be brave enough to say no, but you can really only say no if your basic needs are met. If you have enough, I don't know if I can, okay, let's speak about money, because really that's what we're talking
basics,
about,
yeah.
right? So if you have enough money to be able to kind of keep you afloat, enough for you to say no and wait for what it is that you want, and be able to negotiate at that table to get what it is you want, that is far much better than going, you are desperate. Because you will always take that first thing that jumps up at you, because I don't know.
Gosh. But because here's what I wonder. What should you do when you are hungry but you are at the negotiation table, but what you are being offered
Is not what you
is
want.
not what you want? You really shouldn't take it.
Then you have to make some very tough decisions. That's the reality.
The tough decision being taking it
No. The tough
or
decision
sacrificing
is,
it.
are you willing to sacrifice it? Because sometimes when you push at a negotiating table, the reality is that you might not get your way. Are you willing to take that risk? And if the answer is yes, if your resolve is so strong, then take the risk.
I see.
Yeah.
Last two questions. Number one, are you a reader?
Yes,
And how is that?
sometimes.
Fair enough. My question is not relevant anymore. But maybe let me just ask it. Do you read everything? As in, like, do you have like a reading plan or type of books? Would you read my kind of a book?
Yes, actually, I would read. I've seen your book before. I think I came across it somewhere on LinkedIn. And I was like, this is something that I definitely need to read. And then I forgot about it. But I definitely
Can you
would
imagine?
read. Sorry.
Can you imagine?
But definitely, I think your book is the type of book that I would like to read, because books like yours are books that teach people how to think or challenge people to think. And those are the types of books that I like. I don't know if I can call, what are they called? Self-help books.
I don't like them. 10 steps to reading
no,
a book.
not those kinds. Okay.
Like the kind that they do everything for you. All you have to do is copy and paste.
No, not that kind. The kind that I'm trying to think to I don't know what they're called. Authors, Babatswana Lebo, Sarah Jakes Roberts, for example, Butore Roberts, who actually get you to think about spiritual concepts, but in a pragmatic way. And actually related to the world, where you can also cite people like Dr. Darius Daniels, is a pastor and entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. But he speaks about things like relational intelligence, for example. So things like that help to develop you as an individual, so that you are better able to actually execute the things that are outside of you, i.e. business, i.e. doing relationships better, and so on and so forth. Those are generally the types of book that I like to read.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of books I write.
Okay.
Because I don't think of myself as a writer who writes because he's an expert in an area. So page through because you don't know what I'm about to tell you. So everything I say, believe it, and then you just take and go and do. I don't write that because I believe what I said yesterday about the two types of learning institutions that we have in the world. Institutions that see the brain of people as vessels that needs to be filled, and then other institutions that sees the brains of people as fires that needs to be ignited. I don't think of my readers as vessels that needs to be filled with information. I respect them well enough to know that somebody who's brave enough to be compelled to pick up a book, already you are already above so many different brains around. So you already have a brain that says, I need to think. So when I write to people to help them think of a concept. So this is where my title is like, think like an entrepreneur, act like a prostitute. You take prostitution and entrepreneurship into the same space. First of all, somebody's gonna think about it before they even read, because now they're already engaging into it. So we give you ideas that says, hey, here's what this is about. But in you reading it, you you think about the things that affect you, how you're running your business or how you're doing this or how you're doing that. So you see how certain problems were solved and explain why the concepts that were applied there, how did they actually work? And then because you understand that, you think for yourself and then you come up with your own solution.
Yeah.
I don't think my books are the books that you read because you have a problem, so you are hoping to get a solution in it. No. It's just gonna like light a bulb somewhere and then you start thinking for yourself. Anyway, so I think my last question was about, so let's talk about the people concept. You talked about you have teams that help you run, because now somebody who's looking at you, they see you being the one running all the businesses that you're. This is I try to explain this all the time. When somebody says, how do you do all of this? Because they're imagining you some management consultancy thing. That's actually the picture that they're having in their mind. But you talked about teams, to say build a team, and that works with you quite well. And then because now you're not managing businesses, you are managing leaders of teams, and the leaders of the teams are managing the teams, and then the whole system will actually work for you in a nutshell. So I want you to speak about that and also speak about the way in which you relate with your people, because we haven't learned this thing. We feel like because we hired some people, we are sort of like their Lord and Savior. So they breathe our oxygen, and they're second-class citizens, and you just boss them through. Like it's like they're slaves unto you. Simply because somebody say, hey, I need a job, you interview them, so now you feel like you own them. So you don't respect their views, they don't contribute even intelligently into your setup, because only what you say goes. So only the way you know how to cook fat cakes, that's how we cook fat cakes here. If you say, no, let's do this, we get you fired. And they think like you said earlier, when they take the stand to say, I'm here, but for me to keep working here, this is how I would like us to cook these fat cakes, because they're speaking from a skill and expertise, but when I'm speaking from emotion and these insecurities of I'm your boss, and all of that. So I think maybe if you could cover those two, should be enough for the night. Okay,
I'm gonna cover the latter before the former, just because I don't remember the former. You'll remind me what you said.
Okay.
So I think you should love people. I think it's a bit cliche to actually say, and it's a bit difficult to get people to wrap their minds around loving everybody, because I think our definition of love sometimes is a bit skewed, right? So I think firstly, take an interest in the people that you're actually working with, respect them, and understand the fact that you don't know everything. There are people that are going to come in and they are going to have knowledge that is very different from yours because of their experiences. Take that in, listen to it, be diplomatic, and actually understand what they're saying before throwing it out, right? The way I work with my people, I treat them like people. I treat them like
people.
Yeah, like I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
I treat
normal
them like
human
people.
beings with
I
feelings.
treat them like how I would treat my family, right? And maybe it's even worth saying, Jorge, in one of the enterprises that I run, at one point I had a whole team, 15 or so, of purely volunteers that believed in the vision that I put out, grabbed that vision and ran with it as if their lives depended on it. They worked so hard, and the results of it are still resounding today. Because some of them have moved on to other things that they're doing, right? So I think people, how we were saying earlier that people will know if you're not telling them the truth.
Of course.
People, when you genuinely care about them, they know.
They also can tell,
Yeah, I once lost an opportunity to get a job because in the interview was a time when I was having an epiphany about the runway. And this person asked me, what inspires you? And because I was battling in my mind so much at that time, I said to him, love inspires me. And he's like, so why don't you become a teacher? I was so offended at the time, but I look back now and I think, that guy was right. And in more ways than one, I am now a teacher and I coach and all of that, right? But I think at the base and at the core of everything se eleng gore wa se dira with relation to people and relating with them, have a genuine love and care for people. People will respond to that. Even if they don't want to, they will. And they feel it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you time to say, not even hello, bye-bye, to my audience before we say our formal bye-byes. Over there.
Okay. I'm not sure what to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. I'll play it back and read all the comments again. I really hope what I had to say was useful. And please do, reach out to me through, Huitzamang, through his team, on my social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm always, available to talk and help where I can.
Awesome. Pakolekoko, everyone, management consultant. And management consultant.
Yes.
Is it management or how do you say management?
Management.
Management.
Go on.
How do you say that?
Management.
Here's the thing. You did a master's, so I'm sure they covered this part.
I didn't do a master's in English.
No, but whatever language or level of communication there's a difference between a person who's been to master's degree.
Okay.
And us, like our exposure to, like you spoke about exposure, how we say certain words. You say management?
No.
Okay, say management.
Management.
So she is a management consultant, and she's in the space of helping people who wants to study abroad. So if you're out there, you want to study abroad, she's got a company that can hook you up with some of those opportunities, and also I think training in preparation for going out there and studying abroad. She's also a proof that you can run multiple businesses and still succeed at it, because when you apply the right skills and the right sets, what am I saying? Yes, when you're applying the right skills and the right models, they could actually help you to run successful businesses. And also, as you said, her 9 to 5, it's actually an interesting one. It's not the normal go get a job sort of a thing. She doesn't work for the company that she works at. She works with those people. And I think that's an interesting take home for some of you to think. You are very brilliant. Sometimes you are told you are overqualified on an interview, and then you go home. That doesn't tell you that, okay, you're overqualified for the job to work for them, but you're not overqualified to work with them. So that could be a thing that actually inspires you to say, hey, how do I negotiate? And I think that's the other thing she talked about, knowing your value and knowing how to nicely and politely negotiate your value on a negotiation table. And please do check out some of her establishment in Tlokweng. Narobitsa was Amalek, next to Explosion. She's got an eatery over there that's selling traditional food. And do look for her as well on LinkedIn. Pakolekoko, Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I
Pakolekoko on Facebook, on Instagram.
I'm not on Instagram.
You should get on Instagram. And then also on other social media platforms. Don't go away.
Meaningful sponsorships improve lives. That's why we create and support initiatives that make a real difference by engaging, inspiring, and uplifting communities. It's just one of the ways Hollard ensures better futures.
And that's our show for tonight. And thank you very much for all of you who has been watching through since the beginning of the show. All of you over there on YouTube, I think it's exciting. Some of you need to really now start watching the show from YouTube. A lot of people always tell us that it's actually more interesting. I don't know what's the difference, but people feel like it's more interesting for them to watch on YouTube. So your friends and loved ones who say they are not on Facebook and LinkedIn, on Twitter, and they can't watch the show because they are not on those, tell them that we now have the show broadcasting live right now as we speak on YouTube. So you can always go over there and actually watch the program from there. The other thing I want to talk to you about is that we're about to close the registration for the Project 124 Africa programs. Remember, we've got 3 tracks. So if you have zero understanding of entrepreneurship, you don't necessarily want to go start a business at some point, but you want to learn how it works. Or you actually want to start a business, so you don't know what to do where. There's a program that's there for you. It's called Project 124 Africa. It's the freshers program. Please do register on the links on Project 124 Africa on the page, and make sure that you are one of the people that are going to be trained by our mentors from around the world. And we also had an announcement we made this week. We are officially the first official partner of HubSpot in Africa. And because of that partnership, you now can access the HubSpot Academy, which have thousands of courses, social media, digital what, data analytics, all of that for free through our academy that's now within HubSpot Academy. So if you are a member of Project 124, you will have free access to all of the digital tools that they use to create websites and so on and so forth. Those are now available for you if you become a part of Project 124 anywhere you are in the continent. And then also the last thing to remind you is the other program for Project 124, the enterprise program. If you are running a business, you don't know what's going on right now. Like if you were to be asked, how are things, you have no what to say. That's your program. If you feel like you've reached a ceiling in what you are doing and you need to also go to another different level, this is the same program that you have to sign up for and be a part of it. There's going to be all different sets of trainings, different levels of exposure, and so on and so forth. Again, universities in the other program, Project 124, the InterVarsity program. Thank you for all of you universities that signed up. I can't mention the names now. I think there's going to be an official announcement of which universities are within the Project 124 InterVarsity. But if your university happens to be part of the InterVarsity program, please, we do have Project 124 student clubs in your universities. Be a part of those clubs if you're at UB, if you are with Canelo, if you're at BAC, if you're at, what's the other ones? Polimco Queen, all of those, ABM, we have clubs there. Please be a part of those clubs and make sure that if you're not in that club, you can't participate in the InterVarsity program. There's no like, I'm just at BAC. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be in the club, and then that's when you can be a part of that. Again, and lastly, the people of the Kingdom of Lesotho, from the 18th to the 20th of August, in a couple of days, myself and my team, we're going to be landing in your country very soon, and we have a series of activities, events actually organized for us to facilitate. We have events for students, we have events for business owners, and so on and so forth. So please, if you are around or you know somebody who is in Maseru, Lesotho, let them know about this event. Go to launchitinternational.com. You'll find all our events. Do sign up for any of them that may be best suiting for you. And I keep saying lastly, but promise, this is lastly. My book, it's on the way right now as we speak. So if you've been looking for this book everywhere in the country, you've went to Exclusive, you've went to Botswana Book Center, you've inboxed us, you've WhatsApped us, and you didn't get a copy, we'll be having a new stock arriving in a few days. So please make sure that you do that again. If you are not on the database of people that already ordered, that when the book arrives, we give to them. The reason I say this is because there's a problem with this book. Once it arrives, it doesn't matter how many copies are there. Within a few weeks, it's out. So make sure that your name is on the list. You put the number, the name, send it to my Facebook page or the WhatsApp line that you keep seeing on the stream as well, and just place your order of this book. So that's our show for tonight, and until next week.